Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, so paid collection review for Sam. And Sam has an 11-piece Rolex Super Collection. Let's take a look at it first. All right, so starting from left to right, a pre-ceramic Coke GMT Master 2 61710. Next is a 42 millimeter Polar Explorer 2, a Yacht Master 2, a 41 millimeter Blue Dial Datejust, a 40 millimeter Air King, a Root Beer Ceramic GMT two-tone. On the next line, a Blue Dial Sky Dweller, a ceramic date sub, the Milgauss Blue Z, the Wimbledon Dial 41 millimeter Datejust, and lastly, a GMT Master 2 Batgirl on the Jubilee bracelet. All right, so let's read his email and then we'll talk about the specifics of his collection. He writes, I would love your opinion on what other brands and models I should add, or should I add another Rolex? I have looked into Tudor, which I contacted my AD about and asked if he can get me the Black Bay Chrono Dark. I recently passed on a Tudor GMT, and I also recently passed on a Grand Seiko SBGH 269, which is a limited edition autumn watch. We'll talk about that in a minute. Both due to financial timing. I have also looked into Omega, but I am torn what to add to my Rolex fanboy collection. When I walked into an Omega AD about 2 months back, he showed me the Apollo 8 Speedmaster Moonwatch, which I passed on because living where I do, I did not feel like paying retail plus the 10.25% tax. But I think that might have been a mistake. I did ask for the Hamilton Cooper for Christmas, fingers crossed. Austin, have a great day. Keep the great videos coming. All right, thanks, Sam. Appreciate the collection review. All right, so let's talk about some of the things he throws out. Now, essentially he's asking, should he get more Rolex watches, or should he go outside Rolex and look into some other brands? And first of all, let me just say that looking at this collection, I don't think I would go lower, meaning I don't think I would go Tudor. If I were him, I probably would only go up, only go for more, higher end, more expensive pieces. I can't see a real reason to go down, but, if you really like a piece in, say, the Tudor line or the Omega line, yeah, go for it. I understand. I mean, I had 3 Rolexes and then I decided to get into Tudor Hydronauts. So, if a piece really strikes you as something special, I can imagine going that route. But if not, I can't really see a reason to go down. I think that would sort of dilute the collection. So, in regards to Tudor or Omega, I don't think I would look for a Tudor or an Omega. He brings up the Grand Seiko SBGH 269, which is a limited edition watch for fall. They made, I want to say, 900 pieces, and it's about, well, in yen, 770,000 yen. So between 7 and 8,000 USD. It's a high beat movement. It's an awesome watch, but I think when it comes to those Grand Seikos, you can get wrapped up into the limited edition. Well, I've got to jump on it because this is special and it's one of a kind. And that's kind of true, but they'll come out with something that will elicit those feelings probably on a regular basis, year by year. So I would really sort of sit back and decide if you really want it or you're getting caught up in the limited edition thing. And as far as that autumn watch, I mean, it is a beautiful watch. It could fit nicely in a collection like this because it's got a really special dial and a really unique color. But personally speaking, I just don't think I would go that route. Again, unless it really, really speaks to you. As far as the Tudor GMT, I don't think that would have been a good idea because you've got the Batgirl, you've got the pre-ceramic. In fact, you've got 5 GMT watches. The Root Beer, the Coke, the Batgirl, the Explorer 2, and the Sky Dweller. But look, I love GMT watches, so if you do too, then I could understand maybe wanting to get a Tudor GMT. But again, it's sort of weak sauce considering what you have. So I can't really understand why you would want to go that route. And would you really enjoy wearing a Tudor GMT? I mean, you've got that in the Coke, the pre-ceramic Coke. He talks about a Black Bay Chrono Dark. Well, okay, one thing I've noticed about your collection is you don't have a chronograph, and that wouldn't bother me. I'm not much into chronographs, but if you really want to make it, a true top tier Rolex super collection, that last space in your box you might want to fill with a Daytona, a white dial Daytona. I think that would be pretty amazing. And if you want to go Speedmaster, that would be cheaper. It would give you Omega, and it would give you the chronograph. So that's something I would think about doing. Now, as far as your watches, let's sort of go through, and I'll start with the GMT Master 2 Coke. And when I saw this in your collection, I instantly gave you a little bit of respect, because if you didn't have that 1 5-digit, you would look like a guy that just got a bunch of money or got lucky at the AD, or bought a bunch of watches on the gray market. And I'm glad you have that. And I might suggest adding another 5-digit, but let me just say that GMT pre-ceramic Coke garnered you respect from me, and I think that's an awesome piece, and I would definitely hold on to that. You've got the Explore 2, 42 millimeter. Again, personally speaking, I like the 40 millimeter, but this is a great watch, and you seem to like bigger watches. You have a couple of 41 millimeter date justs, so I can see the 42 millimeter Explorer 2 working for you. Now, the Yachtmaster 2, that's a puzzling watch because it's such an obscure complication. So I don't understand that watch. I don't quite understand why you got it. Maybe you compete in regattas. I'm not sure. Maybe you just thought it was cool. Maybe you looked at it and thought had an interesting aesthetic. Now, I don't think it's a very popular watch. You never see them in the wild, but you see them a lot in the AD. I remember when I was in Fukuoka, every AD I hit had this in the case. So, in the future, that could be a collectible piece because they don't seem to be popular. They're again, it's a very obscure complication, a countdown timer that goes from 1 to 10 minutes, and they're expensive. So I don't think a lot of people are buying them. So, in 20 years, if it was discontinued and in 20 years you still have that watch, because of its quirkiness and sort of, unpopularity, it could actually be somewhat valuable. Now, you have the 41 millimeter date just. That's a beautiful date just. Congratulations for choosing the Jubilee bracelet and the fluted bezel. And I love the blue dial the most. Now, personally, I would have gone 36 millimeter date just, but you seem to like bigger watches, so that's just a personal thing. One of the weakest things in your collection, in my opinion, is the Air King, and I just don't think I get the Air King. A lot of people love it. In fact, I was listening to an Archie live show, and they were sort of praising the Air King. Internally, it's an awesome watch, and it resists against magnetization, but it's just such a deviation from what the Air Kings were for so long. They were 34 millimeter watches, and you could get them in different colors, and then all of a sudden it jumps to 40, and you can only get one color. So I think it really is Air King in name only. And I think the link to 34 millimeter Air Kings, it's not much of a length. It really is just sort of name only. And of course you've got that Air King script. And a lot of people say, it's cool because it's got the bicolored logo with the yellow coronet and the green and the green Rolex, and is the first to do that. But I kind of think, who cares? But I guess it's worth acknowledging. Anyway, I don't get that watch, okay? And I would say it's probably the weakest watch in your collection. And you've got the Milgauss, which I think has that that anti-magnetization property, and it's a better looking watch. It's a better looking three-hander. That dial on the bluesy is amazing. So, but again, it's a personal thing what I'm saying here. The two-tone, okay, so you got one two-tone piece, and I think that's awesome because, you got a little gold in the collection, and it's a GMT Master 2 root beer. That's a beautiful watch. If I were into two-tones, I could seriously see going that route. And it's good that you have that because, I'm into steel, but to have a little bit of gold in such a large collection makes total sense. All right, and then on the next line, you've got the Sky Dweller to have, the blue dial. And again, that's a big watch, which you seem to like. And then after that, you have your one dive watch. So you only have one dive watch, which is kind of interesting. And it's the ceramic sub date. And yeah, very nice, very nice. The bluesy, which I've mentioned, I think that's an excellent three-hander. And I think that's the best three-hander you have. Well, let me see. Yeah, compared to the Air King. And then you have the Wimbledon dial, which is apparently kind of popular. And it's one of those things that, because I hear it's popular, I kind of tend to want to respect it a little bit. But if it was a lemon, I totally would understand it, because I think, personally speaking, I don't think it's a very attractive watch. It's again, it's popular. And so, yeah. And you have it. It's a nice variation and a nice difference than the Jubilee braceleted, blue dialed, fluted bezeled Datejust. So it is a different dial color. You got the Romans on that, so it makes perfect sense. I think it's more the color that I don't like. But again, I'm just sort of injecting my bias and opinion, and that's kind of what I do during these. But it's a totally legitimate watch, and honestly, if you're going 41 millimeter Datejust, it is popular, and it's good that you have that. And I think this is a great option. You can get that watch with a Jubilee bracelet and with the fluted bezel, but I think the sportier look is best. And what I think is the best piece in your collection, some people would say it's got to be the Sky Dweller, and the Coke is awesome too. But really, the what I think is the best piece is that Batgirl, and I think that is probably the best thing in the contemporary Rolex line at the moment. And what should you do? Where should you go with the collection? Well, if you want to stick with Rolex and you want to stick with modern Rolexes, I would say the Daytona. All right, it would give you a chronograph, and that's, again, one of the hottest pieces right now, and it would really seal this collection as a true modern Rolex super collection. But if you want respect from people like me, what I would add is another dive watch. And you have the ceramic sub, but you don't have a no-date sub, and you only have one pre-ceramic. So if you were to get a 14060 or a 14060M, I think that would be really cool. And it's a smaller watch. It's a little bit more low-key, not as shiny as the ceramic bezeled date sub, and the case is more proportioned. And if I were to go that route, I would probably look for either a 14060M two-line, which I think is beautiful because of that minimalist dial, or I would go with a random serial number 4-line 14060M, and that's the last iteration of the pre-ceramic, and they had the rehaut engraved, and you can actually find those with blue parachrome springs. So that would be a pretty cool watch to add. And that's if you want to go Rolex. Now, let's just step back for a second and think about, should he go Rolex or should he go with something else? Well, first of all, if you are going to go with something else besides Rolex, I would go up. I would go with something from the Holy Trinity. I think something like a Patek would be really awesome, and that would be just a great piece of high horology in that one empty space that you have. Now, we often look at Rolexes as sort of eternal watches, and this is sort of a harsh truth I'm going to speak of, and one that I don't really like to acknowledge, and one that it's uncomfortable for everyone, all right, including me. But we look at these watches as eternal, and the fact of the matter is, they aren't, compared to something like a Casio, yes, but in 50 or 60 years, you got to ask if these watches will still be serviceable. They won't from Rolex, okay? And these newer watches with the sort of the component rotor system and the mainspring that is sort of a unit, I think it's going to be really hard for anybody but Rolex to service these watches. People who can't have access to Rolex parts or don't have access to Rolex parts. And so in the future, when Rolex stops servicing these watches, I think they may not be serviceable. And so my whole point in bringing this up is we look at Rolex as though they're eternal, and I tend to as well. But I question what will happen when Rolex stops making the parts for these particularly modern pieces. And my fear is that they are, like a Casio, temporary watches, and that they do have a lifespan. They aren't eternal. Now, for all intents and purposes, Sam, they probably will outlive you. But when you step back and you think of this collection and the real longevity of it, and whether you could give it to your children and they could give it to their children, you have to question if that's actually going to be feasible, and if these will be unserviceable in a few lifetimes. And for that reason, it might be nice to have something like a Patek, which really is eternal. I mean, a Patek is a very special watch in the sense that no matter how old the Patek is, Patek will stand behind it, and they will make parts for it, and they will get it working again. And that is phenomenal. And shame on Rolex for not doing that. Shame on Rolex for not making that an option. And shame on Rolex for sort of tacitly implying that these are a degree better than a Casio by pulling the rug out from us in terms of making parts and servicing. And so, as nice as this collection is, I would look at it from the point of view of decades upon decades. And in that sense, I think I may, going forward, put some money into Patek for really standing behind and really making these watches eternal pieces, and I think that's the way I would go. I think you've got a great collection. I think maybe you're done with Rolex, and I think you need to set your sights on a more eternal brand, and I would say Patek, and I'm not sure if Vacheron or AP also, will stand behind their watches for lifetimes to come. If not, I would avoid those as well. But Patek will, and so going forward, I think you should graduate to Patek, and maybe just one piece. And these are usable, and the Patek will give you a little bit of high horology. It's an eternal piece, and it might be nice to look down at all these nice modern Rolexes and wear them and enjoy them, but see that one piece of eternal horology in that Patek, and break it out on special occasions and enjoy it. So that's what I think you should do. But again, if you want to go Rolex, I would go with maybe a pre-ceramic piece, they're fun. I'm sort of biased in that direction. Or you could always go for what I think you're missing in terms of modern Rolexes, and that's the Daytona. But personally speaking, what I would do is I would focus that last space on an Eternal Patek. Thanks for watching. Sam, thanks for the question. Let me know what Sam should do. Let Sam know what he should do. And let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Do you want a video made just for you? Well, check out the description of this video and I'll let you know how you can make that happen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.